Round 13, best buys. Unfortunately, couldn't wait until Thursday morning to do this video, so I am doing it Wednesday afternoon in anticipation for Origin. Cannot wait for that. And we'll give my little prediction as well at the end for Origin. Now, shouldn't affect too much with that section. It's probably more around the holds and the sells, which we went through earlier, and I went through in the TLT video, so go back and check that out if you want me to talk around the Origin guys. This is going to center around that, and it's a pretty interesting little setup for who's hot right now. It's Koloamatangi right up the top there at 3.7%. Ezra Mam at 1.2%, Dylan Lucas, Campbell, and Aitken are 1 and above, with guys like Sharpe in there at 0.86%, and Terrell May is still not owned by everyone, surprisingly enough, at 0.39%. Now we go from hooker all the way through to wing fullback. We'll get those timestamps in, so check that down the bottom of the video there, and you'll see you can click through to whoever you please. Now, Jazz Tevaga, still, in my opinion, the best hooker for round 15. Has a really low break even this week, and with Gerbo still out, Taukeaho still out, we have a situation where he probably scores pretty well this week as well. So that's where I think buying is sweet. And that's why I thought last week was the play. I was hoping for about a 50 from him or close to it, and at a decent price there of 440 odd. Now he's 500k priced at 37. Look, there's definitely a chance that he can be a 45 guy going forward. And we have seen that in the past seasons from him when he has played in the lock position or in the interchange position there. 57, 56, 39, 50, 62, all in sort of 50 to 60 minutes in that lock position. Even a prop there, there's high 30s, 40 odd, 47, and then goes back to some lock spots there. And it's 48 minutes for 44 points. And look, if you get that at worst, maybe it's probably likely to be in more minutes, but if let's just say it's not, then you probably still have a little bit of value on this price point, and you get someone that helps you around 15 and around 18 as well. So I think he's very, very important. Not a must, but very important. And that's why I jumped on last week as a really good replacement there. And you look around 15, it's not great. Someone I'm going to speak about here in a second is Api Koroisau, and he doesn't play around 15, but he has upside as well. So have a look at that when you are trying to sort out your hooking spot for round 15. Erin Clark there is 777. Wow, incredible. 58 is the price point for him. He's averaging 56. So really, this is just based on his last collection of weeks. When we get him over 50 minutes is what we want to look at here for him. He's been absolutely dominant this season in 2025, averaging 65.7 in 65 minutes, which is pretty elite, very elite. The problem here is we can't say it's the top tier because we have May and Haas, but with the hook and mid duel as well, he's someone you can slot in there this week if you have Starling or anything like that. Move him up, trade him in. Can you still trade him in? Potentially. He's so consistent in recent history. Since that time, he's gone over 50 minutes a game. His lowest score is 53, and he only has 2 scores there under 60 in total. So still opportunity there to go for mid 60s and 70s, but I expect the minutes to sit somewhere in that low 60s mark that we've seen in 4 of those 6 games there. So Clark, a really good option as well this week, heading into round 13, but do be aware that round 15 and 18 he's out, but he is the best hooker this season and will likely be at least until sort of round 20 or 21, and then you might have guys like Grant and Watson come back into the fray. For Api at 585k, he's coming off a ton. 103 with a double was absolutely awesome. Now, the games before that, he didn't go the full 80. He went 30 and 28 points in those 2 clashes. So if you are buying Api, you're buying him, yes, with the low break even, but with, unfortunately, a very volatile nature. We know where he's going to be generally across seasons. You look back to 2024, it's in the 40s. It's in, he has an 88 in there, but then he has lots of 20s and 30s. And it's a very similar situation to what you see here with his 46 average. You got a 44 average out of him last year, playing 74 minutes, which included some injury games and different things like that. But Api, with missing round 15, I think you can go for the other targets that are cheaper as well. Koloamatangi, 678k, the big dog of the week. Now, let's just really delve into the stats, because that's the one thing we haven't done. A lot of people are talking about just how good he is. I haven't heard a lot around the stats, so come here and enjoy that part of it. So let's just go to him playing lock for one, and we look at 2024. Now, in that lock position, he averaged 70 minutes, picked up a 58.4 average. He's priced at 50. So in that alone, that's awesome. What we've seen with him at prop as well, we've seen it in 3 games. We got a 73-minute game out of him for a 33 in round 8 last year, so that was beautiful. But this year he's played 2 games there, which prop, lock, it doesn't seem to change too much for him. 56 and an 81. That game was a base stat extraordinaire game. You know, he had 286 meters gained, 49 tackles. Now, if we look at that in itself, we go, wow, there's upside there, which is awesome. 2024, he did play 1 game at prop as well, 33. Oh no, I went through that, scratch that, in that lock position last year. He had 104 with a double. He then had a 47, a 53 with a try. There's a 59, a 54 in there. And that 54 was in 55 minutes. He played 54 minutes the one following that. So he did sort of fall away a little bit, which is something that if you're putting your body through the ringer, can definitely happen. But now, with Keaon, there is a chance of origin as well. If something happens, if he continues to play really well, which we're expecting him to, then that's an option. If he doesn't make origin, he's got to get through 6 strong games before he gets another rest in round 19. And we know round 19 is going to be fairly difficult, but he should be able to get through the 6 weeks before getting another rest there. Keaon Koloamatangi. Pretty well a slam dunk type of pick. I think he's a very, very, very good selection, similar to that with Jazz. Positionally with Jazz is the big one. Positionally here with Koloamatangi right now in this week doesn't help us. In round 14, he's going to be a great scorer, but he doesn't help us. Like if you're trading someone, some people looking at trading Horsburgh and these type of guys for him, they could come out and get the same score. They could both get 54. And Koloamatangi's minutes of 80 could drop. But round 15 is where his value is met. And round 18. So those 2 weeks, they're very, very important for middles. It's very hard to get good middles in that team. And we're looking at the Sharks middles in McInnes, AFB, who both aren't as good of a scorer as Koloamatangi. We also have Couchman as well, who's coming back from injury. So Keaon is the fit guy, the best scorer, and you're buying him for that week. Now, with a break even at 21, if he scores an 80, then it makes it tough. You're buying him next week in the 700s very, very clearly. 720, that type of number. If he scores like 60, then it's a little bit over 700, and it's not too bad. So I want to give you a little bit of the back and forth as to why he can be a very, very important trade in. Does it have to be this week? No. Should you do it this week? Probably. But also, injuries can happen. There's all these types of things there that can make this a tougher selection. But if we're looking at pure numbers, I'm expecting him to be in the high 50s longer term with some upside into the 70s and 80s as we saw last time out for him. But then a good chance of him scoring just in the 50s, in the low 50s pretty regularly as well if things don't go perfectly for him or he's a tad under 200 meters gained and tackle numbers, he happens to miss a few. He makes high 30s, misses a few there, and you got a 59 in 80 minutes there. And does he actually go for 80 each and every game with a pretty decent squad they've got? So Keaon, fun pick, recommend it. How you do it is you have to tune back to the holds and sells video to work that one out. Now, Hamish Stewart, he does get Couchman back. Emre Gula is on the return as well from his injury. So to buy Hamish Stewart now at 500k is a bit of an ask. The last few weeks have been awesome for him. He's gone 66 with that try, 50 and a 51, and in really good minutes. Now, I do expect him to continue to score pretty well. And that average for the season at 40.6, I actually expect him to hit that number fairly comfortably. More than that is going to be the question. He's just got the mid only. Do you trust him to be a good scoring midfield in round 15? Is the price a bit awkward? Do you just try and go up a little bit higher? Do you just get Koloamatangi and build to a Couchman, build to Nafahu White when he comes back, or to those Sharks guys, that type of thing? Is going to be the question. How are you looking for round 18? How are you looking sitting in round 16? All the questions there. I think he gets a little bit on his price point at 37. How much more is going to be the big question. And we have a game where he got injured there, 29 in 11 minutes. How good. And his PPM's awesome. 1.07 across these 10 games or 9 games or whatever he's played. So I don't think it's going to be a loss by any stretch. If Gula stays out of the side, Stewart goes well this week, I think, especially with Couchman playing less minutes. But how he looks over the next few, once those guys get back to good minutes, will be the question. Solid pick, not a slam dunk anymore like it could have been. Matt Lodge, we have to mention him because he came back with a bang. First game for him, 54 in 36 minutes. 4 tackle breaks, 2 offloads, a turnover tackle. Apart from the penalty, it was pretty perfect. It was a pretty perfect game for him. At 376k, he can definitely be a guy that does a job for you. They've got Gerbo out, they've got Takeaho out. But what happens when they return? Does Lodge fall out of this side? Potentially. So that's my worry with him. While those guys are out, which for Takeaho could be a few weeks, for Gerbo it's probably back next week. Is Lodge the guy to fall out? Maybe. They've got Naval in there who probably falls out first, and then it likely would be Lodge. But he did bring something last week, and they probably want to keep that going longer term. All right, speaking of the couch, 735k for him with the duel. Does have a high break even, yes, coming off that injury score of 26. He has re-aggravation risk, just like Lucas had. But Lucas came out and did really well. It still seems like his shoulder's sore. He scored that try and was holding his shoulder a little bit. Couchman, I'm just really glad to hold. And if you have him, someone messaged me and they were really, really worried about the break even. Don't worry about it. People are going to buy him. Yes, people might buy him next week or the week after, and they could get him a little bit cheaper. But that means you've sold him and you've brought him back, where it was us who have held don't have to worry about that. So 735k for him, a great spot as an in over the next few weeks. If you can get him near 700, happy days. But for us, hold steady. Just don't buy this week, I don't think, with re-aggravation risk. That's what I wanted to focus on that in this one. Jack Williams, what a jet he's been the last 2 weeks. He scored a try last week. He's playing really good minutes, mixing between front row and the edge there. Getting decent tackle numbers. He's running the footy great, and even with that try last week, just had the 1 tackle break, 1 offload, and 5 misses, but had scored a 57. So he is someone that can do well going forward, but very similar to Hopgood. We got Katonga, we got Riley Smith. All these guys, they miss around 15 and 18. So I don't know if I can recommend Jack Williams as a purchase this week. Who would you play Jack over in your side right now? Even guys like Wong and Hosking, would you play Williams over them? Probably not. So in that scenario, definitely not playing him over anyone in the mids. I just don't know if he's going to be worth it for your side. You might play him straight up next week, but he's on your bench. And then round 15 he's out. Round 16 you probably don't play him anyway. So there's a few things there for Jack Williams to say no, similar to that with Hopgood. Smithies. Now, he has come into this bigger minute role and he's absolutely playing awesome. He's had a try saver both weeks, a couple of turnover tackles last week as well. So that number could have dropped a little bit into around the 50 mark. But priced at 38, he only needs to hit like a 46, 47, 48 average and it'll be worth it. Now, again, similar situation with would you play him over other guys? And that was a question for people last week, or it is the question coming into this week. Misses 15, but he does help in 18. So if you are buying him, you're buying him for this longer period of time, maybe selling in round 19, hopefully making 100k, getting some good scores, especially next week and potentially 16 or a 17 and 18, and then you might move on from there. So he was the buy last week, maybe less of a buy this week. Victor Radley, 558k. He's in a position there priced at 42 where he has to play pretty perfect games to go out and do really well. You saw here last week he had the 80 minutes, but more because the team was missing a lot of forwards. Now, if a lot of those guys back up, he won't need to go back to the 80 minutes. We've seen him in much lower minute games this year, apart from when he played on the edge in round 7, he got the 80 minutes. So if he's anywhere near the 70 mark for those minutes, I think that he'll have more of those high 30s games. And he had to have a pretty perfect game here with 5 tackle breaks. He did have 4 penalties, but 5 tackle breaks, a turnover tackle, line break assist, a line break, and a try assist to get to that 58 in a full 80 minutes in the middle. So again, similar to Smithies, last week was the right week. Yes, he's going to play 15 and 18 with a lot of those guys out. So if you are buying, you get more benefit out of him than Smithies or Jack Williams, to be honest. But he probably has more volatility. Seeing people bring in Lucas, yes, do it. Like, he's a gun. Got 42, played in the centres, but when he's played on the edge this year, his lowest score is 49. And that was his first game back from injury. And they were terrible. So you get him all the way to 18. Has a bye later on, but doesn't matter. The best or the second best centre. Well, he's definitely the best right now. Just ahead of Herbie, so get him in. Aitken, 621k. Underpriced. We know he's like a mid-50s guy, 54, 55 in recent history. He was spectacular for my side last year, taking away that 5 in the 19 minutes, which he got in his last game. He was absolutely crushing it, averaging 55. And you see there, he has his high games there, 69, 61, 76, 81, has high 50s pretty regularly as well. So Aitken, priced at 46, a very, very good purchase and will not let you down unless he gets injured. Has a small chance to move to centre going forward, but usually would be in game. And hopefully from now on, he doesn't get moved because he's very important to this side, I think, in the back row rather than being in centre. So priced at 46, a great situation there. Someone that you should get excited about in your side and keep moving forward. Basically, get him in, keep moving forward. Now, do you need to do it this week? No. Could he get 50 and make a little bit of cash? Yes. Is he still a buy at 650? Yes. So, can you loop this week? Save trades. Could get in, there's injuries and stuff that could happen. But moving forward, round 15 and 18, you're going to want him with a few of these guys out, definitely. So keep that in mind. I want him in my side. I don't know if I'm going to do it this week, and it looks like a few other people are in the same boat. But yeah, just be aware of that and work it out over the next few days. Injuries, see what happens in Origin. He's cheaper than Koloamatangi, so if you can't get right up to Colo this week, then Aitken I think is the play, and then get Colo following that. Kitione Kautoga, 535k, priced at 40 now. What a legend. He's been crushing the last 3 weeks. 55, 58, 56. Now, people are looking to buy him. I'm seeing his percentage go up, and for good reason. He's doing really, really well right now. I still think he's probably close to a sell come 15. There's every chance that he goes back to a 40 or, 37, a 45, a little bit lower than the 50. And then by that time, he's going up a little bit in price, but then he misses 15 and 18 and there's better centers, there's better edges. He would then become a sell. So great that we're riding up the price rises right now, but in 2 weeks time, he may be 575k and a really good upgrade target. So can he be a keeper long term would be the reason why you'd buy him. And if your answer is no, I don't see him being a 670 priced at 50, averaging somewhere around that scenario for Kautoga, then I think you hold off on him. If you see it, then I think you can buy still. And I'd really love to see that, him averaging 50 going forward. Or 55, leave it as it is the last 3 weeks. Now, Eli Katoa, if you aren't worried about round 15, then Eli Katoa is a terrific buy. This week, averaging 53.4, priced at 51. Now, the last 3 weeks have been awesome for him. A really good bounce back section for him. The last 4 weeks even, 55, 72, 55, and 52. 2 tries in there, no line breaks though. And it's just been offloading majority of the season, to be fair. Meters gained, we're down in round 9 there, but since then and before that, he's been well into the 120 pluses for the most part, at least 110 there. And we know that he's going to be like close to a 55 scorer. Has some good matchups in the next few months, definitely, and doesn't play Origin. So always a fun pick, Eli Katoa. I'm hoping he goes well for my Supercoach team this week. Now, Blake Steep at 439k. He is doing really well. He got really good minutes last week and scored tremendously well there. In round 12, he picked up 53 minutes. Similar to the situation with Radley, he's just getting that few extra minutes in these types of games. Now, when everyone's there, he is a 30 to 35 minute guy off the bench, and it's anywhere between 24 and 39 with that try. So expect this week, it's a 30. Going forward, has a bye next week, could use to loop, but you have him for 15 and 18 as an edge. Again, do you want to play him in that position in that week when you have other guys like Aitken that could do a job? If you still have Wong, there's KPP, there's lots of different guys. Lucas, you could throw up there. So plenty of different options for that round 15. Do you want him for that or not? I think he'll be okay, but not spectacular. Ezra Mam we had to speak about because he came out and scored 66 and had a cracking game. Now, 2024, he went 6, 19, 25, 29, 52, 34. Couple of 40s, 21, 28, 23, 24, 27. Gross. Average 32. He's priced at 36. I cannot push anyone to buy Ezra Mam. Although he could come out and do well, not long term. Not long term. Jayden Campbell, speaking of long term, I think we're in a good position here to buy Campbell this week if you want to improve your wing fullback. Something I'm working out, is it worth upgrading Yongi, upgrading Tamale, these types of guys, or, taking one out this week, selling Tamale to Campbell, or selling someone else like an Afahu White to Campbell to improve my wing fullback. Now, if they were playing anyone other than Melbourne, I would say yes, 100%. But we know in games where they can get beat, like we saw here in their last game against the Raiders, they went down by a decent margin. Yes, he scored some goals, but he wasn't involved in attack. And if they get beat by a decent margin, we could see him score somewhere near that 50 mark. And if that's the case, there was no rush to get him this week. Following that, it is the Broncos, Manly, Para, Cowboys before a bye, just the one bye left for him. So overall, a terrific pickup, averaging 60.7 for the year. Do you need to do it this week? No. Is he a great pick this week still? I think he'll still go decent against the Storm, and if things go okay for Titans, if the Storm have a few restings or something like that, then he could still hit a 60 or 70 and be awesome. So if you have him already, happy days. If you don't, there is a question this week, but I think in the next couple of weeks, you're going to want him. So do you do it now, or do you wait, given you probably have a full team this week? Fletcher Sharpe, pretty simple for him. Has upside, as we saw there on the weekend, 98 for him. Incredible. Generally, at 5'8", he's had some upside as well. 360s and a 76. With that 98 now, just shows the upside, and he is awesome. For round 15, you're going to want him. So do you just get him now? That he's not crazy expensive after that low score the previous week that kind of just stalled him a little bit. At 733, it's expensive, but he will be great for those weeks. So just find a way to get him in. This week would be preferred given the lower break even. And playing Dragons, which isn't a crazy matchup. Fogarty at 726, price at 54, averaging 56. So awesome little setup for him. The last 3 weeks there have been good overall. He's averaging 55, 48 before that. But he's got 2 low scores, a 41 and a 48, and always goes above that otherwise. So if you need someone this week to cover the half position, especially, we might have to worry about guys like Cleary, then he's the guy to target. He plays 18 as well, so you might want him there. Yes, he misses 15, but if you can cover that, if you're looking to improve that spot in general, maybe you're selling Cleary around 15 because he's going to miss a few games, then Fogarty's sweet. But remember, he does miss 3 more games for the rest of the season, and round 19 might be hard. For Hughesy at 543, the price is at 40, averaging 38. It's a pretty gross season to kick things off here for him when he hasn't eclipsed 50. Now, against the Titans, he could do that, but he's also had absolute shellackings out there, and he hasn't been able to absolutely dominate. Sorry, he has scored above 50 once against the Tigers in that 64-0 thrashing. Outside of that, a couple of 40s, some low ones in there as well. I still think we just wait until 16 for Hughes if we are interested, if he picks it up a little bit, because, he has to do a lot right now to get a good score, to get a 40-odd. Has a higher break even at 47, so there's no rush this week. We'll do a job if you need a half, but probably better options, just spend up a little bit. Nawaqanitawase will return back to the wing most likely this week. He's just an absolute jet, been flying since their bye, or since he was out of this side. He's now gone to another level with his lowest score of 45 in the last 5 weeks, and continues to score tries and set them up. An absolute freak of nature. He's priced at 44 now, so you're almost buying him, I think, where we can expect him to be. Do you buy him or do you go for Teddy? In my opinion, it's probably still Teddy, but yeah, definitely an option either way, like last week it was. Now, Garrick, 580k, priced at 43, averaging 48, and it's just been propped up by the 97, sadly. I did buy him last week and was hoping for a little bit better. He definitely seems to be hit and miss, and at the moment it's 39, 55, 32, 58, 25, 57, and 34. So hopefully these lovely Manly boys can turn it around. They've got a pretty good stretch of games over the next 5 with a bye wedged in there, and then one in 19 as well. That's probably the other thing to think of is round 19. If you do have the extra cash, go to Teddy, go to Drinkwater, and go to guys like JC or Sharpe right now. In hindsight, I wish I did as well. He does really help in both 15 and 18 there. Gagai, 525k. He had a really good week last week. I think he can keep up a decent standard. We've seen a couple of 30s wedged in between 250 odds, and there are the better players to buy, I think, at 525k. Hopefully you've got enough centres. You may need some coverage this week. You can go for him, but it's not a slam dunk. 3 to go before we give my little Origin prediction. Teddy at 708k. As I said, there are plenty of options to go to, and I think Teddy's one of those good ones. Was very, very close to improving on his score from last week. Did pick up a try and a try assist, but only 51 in the end. And he's just always around the action. We saw the last 4 weeks be really good for him overall. 70, 85, 43, and 51. An awesome little setup, and pretty well averaging where he's priced at. He should be great going forward. I still think he's probably second in charge for the fullback position. So see how Edwards pulls up tonight, and if he's all good and New South Wales win, which I hope, that Teddy will end up locked in a lot of people's fantasy sides, and still misses two games over the next little bit, but could be great looper in that. And if you have some coverage in wing fullback, then Teddy's an awesome one, given he'll miss next week. Papenhuyzen, 654k. He's okay. He just has 100 in his game when they dominate, then picked up a 22 the following week. So you saw that before the 100, 39, 42, with tries as well. So apart from round 1 when they spanked the Eels and round 10 when they spanked the Tigers, his highest score is 59 in a game where they actually lost, but he worked hard from that one, and then they smashed the Warriors as well for a 56. So with the goals back, it's great news for him, but I do think you can go to the other guys with Pappy still having that bye. And Drinkwater, I still would pick above Pappy. Now, the break-even's higher this week, and for me and my team, Drinkwater becomes an interesting thought at 677 just to make some improvements. But the worry there is, Tigers this week, he can go out and score really well, but Melbourne the following week. So I think for me personally, if we can get away with him being about 640 odd thousand, I'd like to buy him in round 15 because he doesn't miss any more games over this period. But if you want Drinkwater, now is a good time against the Tigers. Otherwise, wait till 15, in my opinion. Now, I do have to do my tipping, I believe, actually. Is that right? Yeah. I'm actually going to tip the Maroons. I always seem to do this. I love a little hedge, but I know it's hard to tip the Maroons. Hard to not tip them at home. Yeah, their team, I do think the Blues team is slightly better, to be honest, but we know, it's just got that feeling. I'm getting more and more confident with the Blues, having been a supporter through, my younger years anyway, was that tough 8 in a row, and we are scarred a little bit, but I do think that at home it's very, very hard to beat them, and we were able to do it last year, I believe. Yeah, how's it going to go? I'm hoping the Blues win by 2 tries. My guess is 22-12 if the Blues win. But my tipping head says pick the Maroons there and be okay either way. Very, very happy if the Blues win. If they don't, then I usually get my tip right because they've won so much. But if the Maroons win, and how they actually win will be usually the last few years anyways, but it's been from guys like Hammer and their speed and getting through those guys. But I think that the Blues, like we saw last year, can overpower them. But the loss of Murray, the return of Tino, is a massive swing. I think that's going to be really interesting, and how good their outside backs can go, and how Toya can defend. So a really, really fun little setup. Can't wait to watch this game. But that is my hope, 22-12 for the Blues. But I think that the Maroons could get away with this one by 8 points would be my guess. Probably the other way. Just there's going to be a few important moments that could go the right way for either side, and we'll see how it ends up. So that's my buys for round 13, guys. It'll get more and more exciting next week when we have a full squad and we've got a few guys out, and teams will be looking to get a really, really strong 17 on the park. Can't wait for that again, and then round 15's around the corner, so good luck with that one. Enjoy tonight. Oh, I hope, I love how I just did my prediction, but you're seeing this the next morning, so hopefully the Blues won, and I hope you enjoyed the game. See you guys.